Stop me if you've heard this one before, but the Twins played another one-run game with the Rays. They get the split and get out of there, head to Kansas City. More on that later. But Pablo was great. Offense does just enough. Let's talk about it on Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, and welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warren. You can unfollow me on the tweets at Brandon_Warren and the Brandon_Warren with no number after it is back. Happy to report I have been watching the Twins for 30 plus years, covering them for about half that. I am joined across cyberspace, but in the same time zone, by Mr. Dave Brown at Answer Dave Brown. He has been a ball writer for a quarter century and in the Baseball Writers Association of America since 2012. Dave, how are you today?
Brandon, I'm doing fine. I'm glad your Twitter's handle is back to normal anyway. I'm feverishly updating Twitter right now to see if anybody has an update on Carlos Santana, because I saw you made the last play of the last game of the game today, and it was like some kind of arm hand Vinny Pasquantino nightmare at first base. So that's not good. Maybe
no, and it will be a situation that we monitor. I saw you say as a joke, I think, that Jace Tingler doing the post-game availability means that Rocco's in the ambulance with Carlos Santana. But Carlos was in the post-game scrum when they were all kind of, grubbing it up, rubbing it, whatever. They were
rubbing his arm or his hand to make it feel better, hopefully.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of voodoo no, it wouldn't be voodoo. But anyway, a therapeutic touch to draw from old Unsolved Mysteries reference. But we'll see how that goes. Twins, again, win a one-run game against the Rays. They have been so against the Rays, 8 of the last 9 have been one-run games dating back to last season. 7 of the last 11 games for the Twins have been decided by 2 runs or fewer. They're 4-3 in those. But the big story is that the Twins lose the Ethics Bowl 215 to 210. I think you told me before the 9th inning that you were not concerned because Joan Duran was going to go out there and that you thought the XBA, the Twins were ahead in expected batting average. So something that the Rays did in the 9th inning must have tilted the scales. But no, with that said, Joan Duran looked great. Twins win. They're now 4 out in the Central. Not exactly getting all that excited, but it's progress.
It's better than more regression. So, yeah, I had a lot of thoughts in the last inning. I texted you and I said, yeah, this has, 9th inning classic, worst ever meltdown written all over it, just because it's the Rays and it's they have that weird park. And that was, something like giving up 8 runs in that one inning, like Varland and the defense did yesterday, something stupid like that happening, but it didn't happen. The Duran's curveball looked great. Jax was amazing. Pablo was mostly amazing, hitting even 99 miles an hour on his fastball, according to the StatCast. So lots of good things coming out of this one, including a victory, and hopefully Carlos Santana's okay. We're still monitoring.
So actually, funnily enough, about a year ago, it was last June, Randy Arozarena hit an opposite field walk-off home run against none other than Joan Duran to take a 2-1 win. And so I'm trying to remember if that was a 2-run homer or a solo homer, but either way.
This just in, Brandon. This just in. Bobby Nightingale and Do-Hyung Park say Carlos Santana is okay. He said he got clipped on his left wrist by the runner, but didn't need an X-ray. So it's happened to him before. Yeah, when the stupid fielder throws into the line of passage by the runner. So Bobby Nightingale says the same thing. Didn't even get an X-ray. So Rocco was not in an ambulance with Carlos on the way to the hospital. Maybe he just had to go to the bathroom. That's why Jace Tingler was doing the post game. Everything's okay. Twins win. Carlos Santana not hurt.
You, sir, are fake news. No. By the way, I forgot to mention we are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day and free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Also, this episode brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB to win $50 instantly when you play 5 Twins getting prepared for the Royals. We'll have a full episode. 7:10 first pitch at the Big K on Friday. Chris Atterbury and friends on Sirius XM. I believe Denard Span is actually joining the broadcast after doing video for Bally Sports in this last series. He, Perkins, and Atterbury will be the 3-man group in KC. So that's gonna be pretty exciting. And so you can listen to every pitch of the hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Download the SXM app. Search Twins. Zebulon Matthews looking to get back on track after a brutal outing against the Blue Jays. He's got Cole Reagans, so the lefty special lineup will be out. Dave, are you covering any of those games in person? I guess I never asked you.
Yeah, we could do a better job of planning around here. I have planned to be there at least Friday and Saturday,
Nice.
if not Sunday. We'll see how the kids' soccer schedule works. It's those kinds of things that dictate coverage, as you know. So there's soccer practice and games, but I plan on being there. I'll see if Carlos Santana's doing okay and things of that nature.
Well, and it's kids softball on my end. Actually, in fact, she jammed her finger, so I got to play softball last night instead of her and hit a couple homers. So I was feeling it pretty good. But
you were playing for your daughter's team? That's terrible.
I mean, 8U hit a couple homers. I was trying not to flex on them too bad, but players play. So yeah, Twins win the Ethics Bowl. If you are not familiar, we compared the expected batting average of both teams. It's just a kind of a fun thing from Twitter. I want to talk though. I want to jump out first at the effort by Pablo Lopez, and then maybe a quick Pablo take when he came out of the game, because that was kind of a weird situation. But Pablo's velocity spiked. Now, you mentioned he touched 99. Yes, 98.6 was the official measurement, but 99 on the state or the TV gun.
We round up here.
Yes, we do. And averaged 96.8. That's almost 2 full ticks up from where he's been on average this season. His sweeper was up 1.9 miles per hour. His sinker was up 2.1. He got 18 whiffs. Now, Taj Bradley got more than that. We'll talk about Taj more too, but 8 swinging strikes on 38 four-seamers, 7 on 22 sweepers. Got to be feeling pretty good that your 2 primary pitches got 15 swinging strikes, don't you think?
Definitely so. I mean, they needed it bad. The Rays needed a win too, just because they're deeper into the wild card hole, way behind the Royals and Twins at that point, as far as that goes. But the Twins really needed a win. I mean, just for their mental state, especially after that awful inning yesterday, and not really able to gain any ground on Cleveland and actually losing a little bit. So the really good pitchers that they have, these are probably their 3 best pitchers. Bailey Ober might be better than Duran. Stepped up big time. And Pablo talked about it on the post-game show. I was listening a little bit. Audra asked him about it, and he said that the extra day off in between starts, so Varland starting that game yesterday rather than Pablo going yesterday, he's like, it makes a big difference. And it really informs your workout in between games. But it does give you a little bit of extra energy. And I knew the guys needed it. And, he said those kinds of things. So that extra day off, while it didn't really look like it was helping things yesterday, it matters for the other guys of the rotation. So Pablo with one of his best games. And that was a very strange circumstance, though, when he did come out because of the umpires conversing forever, it seemed.
Nothing like a little instant gratification or justification, though, for the 6-man setup, and raised 6.5 out in the wild card. So on life support, to say the least. Griffin Jacks, as you stated, was tremendous. Why don't we do this? Let's take our first break. When we come back, I want to talk about the circumstances by which Pablo left the game. And let's see what else we got here. We've got Joan Duran all the way back. I want to talk a little bit, too, about the Royce Lewis hubbub around him playing second base. And also, we'll talk about who led off this game, because many people have been saying that this guy should have led off, and he did. So let's take our break. And we got to give some love to our friends at PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. With over 5 million active members, PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS because it's just you picking numbers more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watching the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as few as 4 correct picks. So you're turning $1 into $100, $10 into $1,000, and math.
I want to do that.
Yeah. And it's not even alchemy. I mean, it's legit. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country. California, Texas, Georgia, Minnesota. Check your state out and find out if you're able to play, because I highly recommend it. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB, and you will get a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, run your game. All right. So Pablo comes out of the game. There's this really everything about the play was strange, if we can be perfectly honest. It's a rocket of a grounder-ish. I mean, Yandy Diaz hits the ball hard. He always hits it on the ground, or at least that was the gripe early in his career. And Matt Wallner does his moose thing, not only on offense, but on defense, plows over the short wall in foul territory in right field. Yandy was not quite to first base, and so he was awarded second base with Wallner going out of play. There was some questioning by Vic Carapazzo, who I believe is the crew chief, about where to place Diaz after that play, and including he humorously forgot to silence his microphone when he called to New York and was like, hey, buddy, just trying to clarify a rule here. And it went out over the loudspeaker, and Corey Probus is like, that wasn't supposed to happen. But as I actually humorously tweeted, or at least I thought it was humorous, all of this is going to be for naught when Pablo gets the out to end the inning on one pitch. Well, it wasn't Pablo, it was Griffin Jax. Rocco came out. It was about a 10-minute interruption of play. And so Rocco comes out, gets Griffin Jax, and Jax gets out on a grounder to second base. And so I had a friend, DM, good friend Travis, and he said he thought it was contentious when Pablo came out. I didn't have a problem with it being Pablo versus Jax. If it was Pablo Sands, Pablo Thielbar, Pablo, any of the befores, I would have probably not liked it. But with that gap, with how good Jax has been, one, did you have a problem with it? And two, do you think Pablo had a problem with it? Because to me, it didn't seem like he put up a crazy fight, but he definitely tried to speak his case or plead his case.
I think he was I don't know if I heard him talk on the post-game show about this subject too, and he seemed to not be fully satisfied with the explanation of why it took so long. I think he knew that the umpires were trying to get all their ducks in a row and figure out the ground rules and look at the replays and see when this happened and that happened and so forth and where to put the runners and all that. So he understood why. But 10 minutes, and he even said this, he's like, I realized during this break, this is a long break. And I think in his own mind, that sort of clears Rocco or whatever of any blame for not giving him a chance to go out there and get that last out. He said, he didn't like how he had jerked that pitch. I think he said jerked to he didn't like how it came out of his hand. And he's like, I made a mistake there. And I really wanted to overcome it and get out of the inning. And, typical competitive stuff. That's what athletes do. So I think whatever, if somebody saw contentiousness in his response, I think it was a little bit of frustration at just that it took longer than probably it should have. I mean, 10 minutes is an eternity on those. We're looking at, in the old days, it was like, if we get into 2 or 3 minutes, it's too much. And it was just way too long. And it was a good move and the right move by Rocco, even though he was relying on Jax to get 4 outs. Oh no, more than 3 outs for Jacks. We can't do that ever.
Right.
And it's the first time in forever that that's happened. So I think if we saw anything in the body language from Pablo, it was just a little bit of frustration that it took longer than probably it should have.
Yeah, he's pretty mild-mannered, but I'm sure that the fire underneath Ed Burns is significant. You have to be that good, and he was obviously fired up with his velo. Couple things. I always like to tweet time of review 2:long because all those reviews are too long. The Twins, obviously, the right call would have been to the Twins' benefit. So wanting the call to be right would be why you would tend to probably be okay with it taking at least a little longer to get it right, but not 10 minutes. And then kind of humorously, offense just completely went quiet after the third inning and didn't even give him 10 minutes off probably the rest of the game because Taj Bradley really settled in. The Twins, after the third inning, were 2 for 19 with 6 strikeouts. Taj Bradley had 21 swinging strikes. Pablo had 18, by the way. Let me go over some Taj Bradley August numbers. Have you looked at his splits at all?
I just know that he has been as good as he was for a couple of months there. He's been terrible until like this game. And then, but until after he'd given up 4 runs and then he was great again. It was very strange.
In July, he had a 1.45 ERA. In August, 10.41. This is not 2 starts. He made a full month worth of starts.
That's 10 times as high if my math is right or something like that.
It's at least 8, yeah. 4.72 OPS against in July. 1,045 in August. 0.81 whip in August. 2.014 in 0.81 in July, 2.014 in August. So at least double all of those stats and many times more in ERA. And you kind of saw where, it kind of being a young pitcher with electric stuff. I mean, he hits the upper 90s. He's got, he feels like the next in the line of Rays, Chris Archer types, David Price types, where big time stuff. And, staying healthy is going to be important. But throwing 97 isn't that, that's not it. If, maybe you fall behind and then you can't use your breaking stuff and your fastball gets a little predictable and Edouard Julien takes you deep. I was impressed by Bradley in general, and especially after the third inning.
Yeah. Julien hits a home run, is his first in the majors, I think, since April, a very long time. He went deep a few times on assignment there for St. Paul, but Bradley is just, it's like, oh, well, apparently Bradley is still touching bottom. It was one of those things where he was, for a small amount of time, as good as any pitcher in baseball and appearing to make good on all his potential. But it just goes to show you how hard it is to be consistent as a pitcher in baseball. It's hard to be consistent doing anything in baseball, but you get out of sorts a little bit, your arm slot gets messed up, your location is off a little bit, your confidence is down, you have a blister, any of a million things can go wrong and send you spinning into who knows what. And, like I'm thinking of Rick Ankiel in that playoff game. He was never the same after that. In fact, he was an outfielder after that. So it's just, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have everything working just the way it's supposed to, or like within a zone of acceptability, you're going to get your butt whipped. And it's good for Taj Bradley. I think he had 10 strikeouts. He still looks like he's if you're into fantasy baseball and that kind of stuff, that'd be a guy to get for next season. So, but hey, the Rays don't have to worry, or the Twins don't have to worry about the Rays anymore. I'm tired of the Rays. Hopefully they get their new stadium and we see it in 4 years or whatever. But
yeah,
now on to the Royals.
Yeah, Rays up, more like Rays down. We have a Royals preview episode, as I stated, with David Lesky of what is it, Inside the Crown?
Inside the Crown, yes.
So exciting. That'll be coming to you Friday morning. Couple more things, trying to see if we want to go to our last break here before we touch on anything else. Is Edouard Julien back? How about that one? Since August 21st. So he came back on the 16th, needed a little time to get the wheels going, but including today's game, Julien is hitting a very Edouard Julien-esque 306, 375, 444 for a triple slash. First homer since, I think they said June. 11 strikeouts in 40 plate appearances. That's close to 25%, which is about league average. I'm not ready
First
to
home
see,
run since June but not in the majors. I think it's been longer with the Twins.
but
so,
I mean, so ready to say he's at least looking more Julien-esque. I think I even saw him smile, which I don't know, man. If a Canadian man is not smiling, there's issues.
right. Well, is that good kind of stereotypes, or I suppose.
I grew up 10 minutes from Canada. I can say that.
Well, you are Minnesota is like hanging on to Canada, like
Yep.
like
It's our
this
hat.
kind of Canada. Yeah, Canada is Minnesota's hat. Is he back? I think here's the thing. Is he ever going to be as effective of a player as maybe we hoped he would be? I think we see some flaws that are kind of tough to overcome. His style is good for getting on base, but it also lets a lot of hittable pitches go by. I don't know if he ever gets past that to the degree of, can he be an all-star or something 1 year, something like that? His defense, he's worked hard on it. He's still kind of got a noodle arm a little bit. That's going to hurt too. I don't know if he hits well enough or plays good enough defense to be a first baseman long-term. If that's a thing that people want to do with him. So is he back? Is he a useful major league player and above average hitter? Sure. Is he a lot more than that? I don't know. So I think the jury is still sequestered, as they say in the French.
All right, let's take our last pause. Then when we come back, I want to talk about this Royce Lewis second base hubbub, because I've got a take that might be controversial, but I
can't wait to hear it.
More than fair. Let's talk about Ibotta, the Ibotta app helping you get some money out of your everyday purchases. We are done with the summer, but still barbecuing, still, I'm still going to grill. I'm going to still do all kinds of fun stuff. And if I'm going to the grocery store to pick up those grill favorites, I can earn cash back on every purchase using Ibotta. So you don't have to choose between burgers and hot dogs. You can get both and get some money in your pocket besides. Ibotta is a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop. You can earn on hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies, even toys. So you can make sure that you're beating inflation no matter what you are purchasing. The average Ibotta user is earning $256 per year. That could cover the cost of a shopping trip, a flight, pretty much anything that you've been thinking about that you need $250 for, you'd be covered. Other apps give you points. They don't amount to much. With Ibotta, you get stone cold hard cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. You just add offers in the app, upload your receipt, and boom, the money is yours. You can save on over 2,400 brands and shop at over 1,000 retailers, including your favorite grocery stores, Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. It's time you joined over 50 million users who use Ibotta to earn cash back every time they shop. And two, if you turn on like a location service, it will figure out when you're in. Like I was in CVS and it figured it out and said, hey, upload your receipt. So they're actually trying to give you the money. Like they're trying to get you to do this. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying it by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. So just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app and start earning cash back with the code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store, and use code LOCKEDONMLB. So Royce Lewis is hesitant to play second base, and that might be putting it kindly. I think he said no comment and something about baby's not going to feel comfortable when it's in its crib. Few things. Yes, the Twins asked Royce to play center field, which resulted in his second ACL. But a couple things here. He's not a particularly good third baseman yet. Most good teams have players who play all over. Twins are no exception. I think of the Dodgers with Max Muncy and Chris Taylor back when he was really going well. And I think of a specific Dodger. If Mookie Betts can come into the dirt and play in the infield for the betterment of the team, is it unfair to ask Royce Lewis to do that? Now, I have the utmost respect for Royce Lewis. 6 days out of 7 every week, I wear jewelry that his mom makes that is, it goes to a foundation for children with diabetes. It's a wonderful family. He's a wonderful human being. And I don't question his desire to play one position and stick there, because that's been part of the issue with his being able to stay on the field, at least partially. But with that said, there's something to be said for saying, all right, whatever the team needs. And the team isn't going to criticize or judge him harshly at second base. Is there something going on? Is Scott Boras in his ear? What's going on here, do you think?
Oh, you had to pull the Scott Boras card. I wasn't ready for that one. But
yeah, the last second I threw you a curveball.
I'm sure I'm sure they talk about things. Excuse me, I got a cough. I'm not Cough Man Stadium, but we talk about athletes like not saying anything in interviews, and then when they do, we get upset with them.
Yep.
There's kind of that thing going on. Royce has been pretty, I think, honest and transparent about the misgivings that he might have about playing another position on the fly in the middle of a season. But I think that's just honesty on his part. And I think that's something that all players that have to do something like this kind of feel. Confidence is, at least as he is as an outgoing person, not an issue with him. So, he believes in himself, but it is, I can see from his standpoint where he would be worried about it, just because the Twins kind of can't stick to a position for him. That's true. That's a fact. This is center field, shortstop, third base, second base. But let's put it in the context of what the Twins are doing right now. Rocco has got to make up for the fact that they have a bunch of injuries to significant ball players, and they've got to keep a flexible roster, which means with certain guys hurt and not necessarily doing well at certain times, you got to see if Royce Lewis can play second base. It was funny. His throws are really the thing that give me pause about playing third, making the throw from that seemed to be where he was having most of his problems this year. And of course, he made a bad throw yesterday in the game that helped cave everything in. So, that's the ball will find you, as they say. So, but at the same time, I think really all that Rocco is doing is giving the team as much versatility and options as he can by having Lewis play some second base. There are certain pitchers that you don't want to see Edouard Julien face, either as a starting player or coming off the bench. You need to be able to put him in the game and take him out when you want. You need to be able to put Austin Martin maybe in center field if Byron Buxton can't play because he's got a bad hip, or put him at second base. You need to have this kind of flexibility on the roster. That's why they're doing it. It's for a few innings here. It's for a few starts there. We are not necessarily changing Royce's position again. That's not necessarily what they're doing. I can see where in his head he might think about that and get some butterflies, but it's just to have some flexibility. And I might add, for all the great plaudits that Mookie Betts earned for changing positions, they took him on short. It was great that he was mediocre at short, but he was only mediocre at short. That wasn't, the way to end the season. So for the Dodgers, they're better off with him in the outfield, or I guess possibly second base where he came up. So it's and Royce Lewis, you're no Mookie Betts either. So, and that's not an insult. That's just Mookie's an extraordinary case. So I think it's okay to see if Royce Lewis can hack it for a little bit at second base for a few games. I think that's all it is.
Just a very quick, 1-2 word answer. Who's been better at third base defensively, Jose Miranda or Royce Lewis? This is Miranda for me.
Miranda.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. Quickly before we go, there's been some there's always grumbling about what lefties get to face lefties. But there was some discussion about Matt Wallner facing lefties. So he has a 240, 345, 440 slash against lefties. He did take a walk today. That's only 29 plate appearances. But, I hear people say, well, why does he get to face lefties and not Larnach? Like it's some kind of brother versus brother competition. But I think it's clear at this point that among lefties facing lefties, he's taking the best plate appearances right now.
Yeah, that's true. And, Kepler, before he got hurt, he was a guy that had been doing okay against lefties. These sample sizes are such, though, that they're so short in some cases that I don't know exactly what we can derive from them, So it's like he had some good at bats against lefties, but is that something that is going to continue? I don't know. And Larnach, by the way, was he the leadoff hitter today? I think he struck out 3 times. So Rocco, don't listen to Brandon anymore. Yeah, don't put Larnach as a leadoff.
I said let Larnach hit leadoff. He hit him leadoff, hit Castro like 8th, and it came back to bite him. I had that in the notes to talk about. Many people have been saying that Trevor Larnach should lead off, actually just me. And then he was one of the guys I listed. But we'll see how that goes moving forward. Probably not in the opener against Cole Ragans. Again, more on that with David Lesky on Friday. Thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. If you're going to find a second listen on the network, I would highly recommend Paul Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully, on the Locked On MLB podcast. He's here daily to provide you with national expertise with his trademark humor in getting you ready for the MLB playoffs here as we trudge through the dog days of summer. So get ready for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We got to get out of here. He's Dave Brown. I'm Brandon Warren saying thank you so much, and we'll see ya tomorrow
night. Tomorrow.